In a previous video, I was ranking the most common motorcycle sayings, and I mentioned how usually when people throw out the maxim, take it to the track, they're really just nagging you about something that you were doing on your bike that they didn't think you should be doing on public roads. But in today's video, I'm going to literally and unironically tell you to take it to the track. Except, I'm not trying to shame you out of wheeling on public streets or shrink your chicken strips on those like 360-degree highway on-ramps. You know what I'm talking about. I do it too. It's really fun. No, the real reason to go to the track is because it is a magical place where you can level up on your ability to control a motorcycle and build skills that you just can't outside of that environment. Whether you're about to start your very first riding season or you're one of these cute boomer fair weather riders, I want to convince you to prioritize getting to the track. So that is what this video is about today. And of course, I wouldn't tell you to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. So I'm going to show you the clips from my first track experience and share some of the best practices and little tips I figured out along the way. So stay tuned. I'm guessing that when I say, you should take it to the track, most of you probably think, well, yeah, of course, I'd do one if I wasn't so busy, or if I was more experienced, or if I just had a truck to haul my bike around, or if one wasn't so far away, or just, Jim, any old excuse in there that you've kind of had for avoiding it. And really, no judgment from me. I was also that guy for a long time. But as always, I want you to learn from my mistakes, and not prioritizing getting to the track was definitely a mistake. Let's talk about why. I'm going to tell you a secret about motorcycles. Going fast in a straight line isn't really a skill. That's more like a gauge of someone's risk tolerance, which I don't think that's necessarily something to brag about. Someone saying, I got my motorcycle to 108 miles an hour, feels about the same as someone telling me, I went tandem skydiving. It's cool you were able to overcome fear and survive that experience, but really, someone else was doing all the skilled work of packing the chute, jumping out of the plane, making sure you didn't wind up in a death spiral, monitored your altitude, pulled the ripcord at the right time, and ensured you landed safely. When you are blazing along in a straight line at high speed, the bike's physics are really doing all of the hard stuff of balancing and stabilizing and accelerating and braking. You're just doing this. And I guess this eventually, and maybe a little bit of this. So fast, much skill, big numbers. Wow. Navigating a track at speed requires actual skill. Acceleration, threshold braking, choosing an optimum line, leaning with intent to minimize bike angle, all while avoiding the other riders doing the same thing. That's what fucking skill looks like. I'm gonna assume if you're watching my videos about motorcycles, you care about developing your skills. Developing skills requires being challenged. This is why I disagree with people who tell other riders that they should never ride at night, or in the rain, or two up, or try wheelies, or experiment sexually with other consenting adults of various sexes and genders. Racetracks provide a unique challenge that's impossible to truly replicate on public streets. When I lived in Anchorage, there were some beautiful, secluded twisties in the mountains not too far out of the city, and I would head to them several times a riding season. But I always felt on edge navigating them because one side was usually a straight drop off a cliff, or giant trees that could impale me if I ran off the road. On top of that, there were a number of spots that had terrible road conditions, especially if I went in the springtime or early summer, because there would always be lots of leftover gravel from wintertime. That's another major benefit of the track that goes hand in hand with this increased challenge. A track is a groomed, maintained surface area, which means you don't have to spend as much effort staring at the asphalt, scanning for debris, which gives you more cognitive power to throw at actually riding your bike and practicing technique. Talking to people at the track, several of them mentioned that they didn't even like going hard on public roads, which at first I thought was crazy, but now, after riding on asphalt completely devoid of gravel, oil, roadkill, bits of broken bumper,
I kind of get it. The other thing the track will be able to provide you is an actual sense of where your skills are compared to other people. This is probably a bit more important for people who are generally pretty confident in their capabilities. Maybe they sometimes get a little cocky and start to think they're better than they actually are. Nothing is more humbling than watching someone pass you in a corner on your exact same bike, or even a much smaller one.
What I was saying is that I need to be put in my place every once in a while to keep myself grounded, and maybe it would help some of you too. If I haven't sold you entirely on the idea that you need to get out the track this riding season, hopefully I've at least convinced you to maybe think more about it. For those of you that I've convinced and are totally hot to trot to build out a plan to get there, let's first talk about the goals you should have on your first track day.
Your primary goal the first time at the track should be focused on learning and gaining experience, not pushing the limits of yourself and your bike. Of course, you will be pushing those limits, but your focus shouldn't be lap times or going faster than the buddies you came with. Do that your third time, after you've taken the basic lessons from a trainer, or at least your second time, once you know the ropes. Talk to people who have similar bikes, see what modifications they've done to their rides to optimize for the track. Everyone at these places wants to talk about their motorcycle. I promise you, you'll be doing them a favor by giving them the option to mansplain to you how much time and effort they put into improving themselves and their bikes.
I fucking love when people ask me to explain something in depth, like why the movie Pacific Rim is just one of the best action movies of all time, how it is one of the few action movies that is brave enough to just forego these stupid romantic storylines that are totally unnecessary. The two main characters that you think like, oh, there's gonna be this romantic thing that's in every one of them, they just totally forego that, and instead there's this platonic friendship built and forged in battle, and at the end it's just a movie about giant fucking robots beating the shit out of giant monsters, and there's no dumb romance to fucking muddle all that shit up. Totally unnecessary. I'm looking at you, Pacific Rim 2. That is dog shit.
I'm sure you understand learning happens in a variety of ways. Obviously, you'll be doing a lot of kinesthetic learning as you pilot your bike around the track, getting comfortable at higher speeds, deeper angles and corners, harder braking. Closely tied to that is the visual and spatial learning you'll do as you watch what techniques, body positions, and lines other people take. Talking to people and asking for help will engage your auditory and logical learning abilities. One of the people I just had to talk to at this track was a riding coach who had a slightly older R1M. I made a point to go talk to him at the beginning of my second day there because I noticed he didn't look like he was going through the gears nearly as much as I was. As I started talking, he made this disappointed face and then steered the conversation to my riding and had correctly deduced that I was a fucking poser who had no idea what I was supposed to be doing out there. After some chastising, he basically offered to give me a free personal lesson during the next heat, which was way more productive than the fake it till you make it strategy I was deploying prior.
And that leads to my second goal recommendation. Don't fucking crash.
I'm sure many of you watching this have experienced a crash on your bike and know just how much it fucking sucks. I'm not talking driveway drops, I'm talking high speed low sides, looping during a wheelie, maybe even hitting another car or being hit. That shit blows. Like, let's pretend you're completely unharmed in the wreck, which, given that you'll be wearing probably more high quality gear at the track than you ever do on public streets, it's totally possible if you happen to lose control that you'll be fine. Now you lost out on all the runs you could have done, plus your bike's fucked up and you have the shame of trying to tow it out of the ditch, and they wave the little flag and slow everyone else down, and after you get it home, you have to fix or replace shit to be able to ride again. It's just, there's nothing you're gonna learn in that experience that you'll want to brag about to people later. I'm all about pushing limits, taking calculated risks, doing what's fun and exciting. Just slow it down a little bit for your first time. I talked a little bit about this in the Fear, Death, and Motorcycles video, but I think it's healthy to listen to that part of your brain sometimes that says, hey, I don't know if going this fast is a good idea. Maybe you shouldn't follow this person so close. Why don't you brake a little bit earlier to give yourself more time to choose a line? Then, the next time you come back, you know the ropes, you brought your other buddy who rides for the first time to show them how fun tracks can be, and you want to push yourself to impress them? Fucking go for it. That's really the 2 simple goals I recommend for your first track day. Keep it basic the first time, there's plenty more depth to dig into later. If you want a stretch goal, it could be to meet other people who go more regularly, and can make your future track days easier. I went with 2 people. One of which was a dude who, after leaving the military, had more or less been traveling the US, racing his bike, and trying to really improve his times. He had a full trailer set up to work on his bike, like a mini shop on wheels, and it was fucking awesome to have access to his tools and experience. I guess what I'm saying is get yourself a sugar daddy if you want.
The final thing I want to talk about is this grab bag of tips and best practices I gathered from my experience that can make your first track day easier or help calibrate your expectations.
Look up or call for the details on requirements for how the bike needs to be prepped, costs, start times, all the little details. Personally, the idea of packing up my bike, then driving an hour or so to a track only to realize I missed a critical detail that prevented me from riding, or reduced the number of heats I could run because I forgot to prep my bike in some way, or it didn't pass inspection is just, I can't do it. I can't do it with that much anxiety. I found it very reassuring to get those details up front so that I could check it all slowly and methodically the night before I head out there at home. Speaking of packing up your bike, if you don't have a truck or a trailer for your bike, no problem. You all rent these motorcycle specific trailers for like $15 a day that pretty much any car or truck can tow. You can even rent a truck from U-Haul for like 30 to 50 bucks to tow it if you don't have a car. Pragmatically, you can't ride your bike to the track because of all the prep and supplies you need. Gas is something you're gonna need a lot of. I burn through over a tank's worth a day, and the tracks around me don't have public gas pumps on site. Not to mention the tools, tape, food you probably wanna bring. It's just gonna degrade your experience so much if you don't trailer your bike there.
Track riding is both physically and mentally exhausting, especially if you're new to it. I'm a pretty fit dude. I mean, pre-COVID, I was playing hours of soccer a week along with multi-mile dog walks a day and even hitting the gym for free weights a few times a week. Compared to the average American, I am fucking Hulk Hogan. Yeah! Oh yeah! Woo! Woo! But after just a few heats, I could feel my muscles beginning to throb and ache. Really throughout my whole fucking body, but especially in my quads and my calves and really my whole legs and my hands. I mean, you're basically doing like mini squats dozens of times every lap with weighted gear on, like you're fucking Goku training in 20 times Earth's gravity, all the while like clenching your fists as hard as you can repeatedly to get to like the clutch and the brake. That shit gets tiring fast.
And it's also not just physically tiring, it's mentally taxing. There is so much happening around you, focusing on your speeds, leaning harder than you probably ever have, estimating braking distances, figuring out lines, while dozens of other people are flying around by and past you. It's just a lot to cognitively process.
I skipped the very last session because I was physically exhausted, and I was beginning to think about my physical exhaustion more than than the riding. And I came in hot after the straight and kind of like tunnel visioned on the end and fucking almost didn't turn basically.
Before I got on the track, I was thinking, man, 20 minutes? That's like no time at all. I'm barely gonna be able to get around the track more than a few times. But by the afternoon, so maybe 3 to 5 heats in, I couldn't stay out the whole time, and I'd usually head off the track after 10 or 15 minutes. Because what would happen is after a few laps in my later runs, I started to notice I was having problems focusing on the next steps I needed to take after the current corner I was coming out of, or as I was accelerating on the straight. It was becoming harder for me to grab the brake smoothly and consistently before the chicane, just before the straightaway. It made me realize it was getting a lot harder to ensure I met my goal of not fucking crashing. And I'm not invested enough trying to prove my masculinity or riding prowess or whatever rides some people's survival instincts to push it that hard. If you've been holding out to buy a helmet camera, a track day is the perfect excuse to pull the trigger on one. Before you do though, double check the track rules on using them. Some tracks don't allow them, stating safety concerns that it might fall off and hit someone at high speed or make a mess on the track. At the track I went to, they just required something to tether the camera to your helmet. And I got this pack of GoPro tethers and stickers and put a bunch of mount points on my bike.
There's an affiliate link down in the description if you'd like to overpay for what is effectively just 10 threads of yarn tied together and some stickers. The ones they sell are criminally overpriced, so I would not blame you if you just tried to figure out some other solution that like tied something around your helmet or whatever. I wanted to point you at a couple other resources too to help you build confidence or prepare for the track. There's this really awesome video by RevZilla which walks you through all the boring details that can be really comforting to know beforehand, as well as explanations of common rules and etiquette for the track. This is basically the video I was going to make before I Googled the topic and realized they had done it better than I was ever gonna do. The other thing I want to point you to is another YouTube channel, specifically Mike on Bikes. This dude is another tech bro like me, who I'm pretty sure quit his job at Apple or something and decided to like write and talk about motorcycles for a living, which is fucking awesome, of course. He's kind of like Yami Noob in that he spends most of his time on the track, but his topics are more technical and intellectual. Like, if you took Yami Noob and Mike on Bikes and like smashed them together and created like a baby, that's more or less where I feel like I exist in. If you like my videos talking about motorcycle physics, you are going to be super into the topics he does, and a lot of his videos are focused on explaining advanced racing techniques. And that's basically it. Good luck, don't die, ride fast, take chances, and have fun. Oh shit, I forgot to do the fucking self-promotion part. Okay, look, it'd be cool if you like this video, and subscribe if you enjoy my sense of humor and want more of it. I have a Patreon, but honestly, I'm a little embarrassed to even bring it up because I am doing absolutely fucking fine. Like, I am way better off than lots of people. Probably most people statistically, especially if you count globally. Like, I might be the bourgeoisie that's gonna be put to the guillotine when the revolution comes. So don't give me money on Patreon right now. You can do that when there isn't a mask mandate in the US. If you're looking for something a little more casual, come check out my live streams. I do them about monthly on Sundays. If you miss them, that's okay. I'm just gonna post the best parts as clips, fix up some of my audio, cut out a lot of the technical difficulties that I usually have. Anyway, I already said my catchphrase, so I'm done. Out. Ride fast, take chances. I should probably be embarrassed by this, but I don't know a single rider's name other than Rossi. Valentino? Guy Martin. I'm gonna say Guy Martin. I keep jamming my back into my fucking frame slider.
I'm the cream of the crowd.